G'day! Welcome as we continue on doing our string challenge, getting right to the end here. Another thing I'll just mention too, a new beta came out for Corp that has a really cool change to the map. Like, it gives a bit more color definition to the water. It actually makes a much more distinguishable sort of, like, I think countries are now a sort of a tanny color as opposed to blue, which also looks really nice. I was going to do a video on it, but it crashed out on a brand new game that I played. I opened this and it locked up and died immediately. So we'll see. I might have another run at it at some point, but there is a cool new look coming, but still definitely a few kinks to work out with that one. So we'll start with fixing up Nepal, but I suppose the first thing we want to do is bring in someone new. So let's go for Thailand. Too much attention to Thailand yet. Now, I was going to jump here and then up. I was going to say that I could possibly connect this guy to be shorter routes there, but I mean, this route's about the same route as that one, so it's not really going to make anything worse by having this route that tiny bit longer. I tell you what, there are some exciting new things in that new patch though. That just having a quick little look at it, I do really like. You can click on a route and you can choose to upgrade all planes on that same one route, which is awesome. When designing a new route, you can actually pick to start the plane at level 3 or level 5 as opposed to having to start it at level 1 and then upgrade it, which also would be the dream for someone here who's just constantly upgrading everything as we build. You can click on the name of at the top of a plane and have that take you back to the route page. Yeah, definitely a lot of stuff that they've changed that I really like. Actually, before I keep going, there were some notes on the last one saying that I did miss upgrading some cities. In Ukraine, sorry, firstly, it's a little bit closer, in Uzbekistan, Termez. Once a Termez isn't upgraded, which is this guy here. Correct. Thank you, Federico, for spotting that one. Nicely done. I always find this impressive if you can pull one of these out. And then when we go to the Ukraine, how's it pronounced? Melitopol? Melitopol? Where are we? Melitopol here. Not upgraded, correct. And neither is Kupiansk. This guy here. Oh, slightly on the way, but still wrong, so well done. Thank you to Lucas for finding those two. Maximum level. Must be one of the few maximum level ones in the world. You're obviously struggling a bit there, so let's give you a 500-seater on that side. I guess you've already got a second plane on that side. Alright, so the next thing that we have to look at down here, because all of this is connected, is we now end up here. And we can see that the actual connection that we want to get into Myanmar is here, these two. So what we need to do is flip all of this around to end up so that Chattogram is the end of the line. So possibly what we do is we get rid of that, and we get rid of, we're gonna have some luck and get rid of this tiny little line in the middle here. They go that way. And then we get rid of that one and that one. I know that part of this game isn't that you can pause while building, and I get that part of the, say, like all countries mode, but arguably that's part of the strategy of this, that you need to be able to sort of like fight your way through that difficulty. But as a game that struggles so hard when you build a new route that it sort of like grinds and has to think about it, the idea that you're giving yourself a chance for the game's potentially paused while you add that new route, so this sort of freezing of everything is nowhere near as clear because Genuinely nothing is moving on screen. Not completely not worth thinking about, I think. Yeah, bit heavy hitters. Coming in. Namtu's a little bit out here. Now I don't know have a crack at it. Myet Kiena. Can't be close, surely not. What I'm doing here, I'm sort of missing upgrading them and then going back to them so that you can start typing your message to be ready to send it once you finish watching to say that, nah, I found it. I don't know if this guy we connect to in here, but the problem would be if we did that, is that say you'd come in, you connect the Kunming, and then you'd reach here and then you'd have to get back out somewhere. So I don't think it works anyway. I think that possibly I've gone the wrong way. I think that either I should connect Haka to Vietkinina, sorry, and then come down, or I should connect Vietkina to Silhet and sort of bounce that way and then come down. Chattergram just being sort of in here. Let's go, yeah, let's get rid of that route. Let's bounce him across. Can keep Haka inside Myanmar, so we'll get rid of that. And what we'll do is get rid of this little route here. And get those two back together. Alright, and then we'll upgrade this guy. And my buddy Miyakina. Down to Namtu. This plane looks like it explodes, but honestly, we're just upgrading him. Another city into Thailand. Okay, then we can sort of start to swing down. And I think that you can sort of see I mean, depends on how packed Thailand's going to get. I know that Thailand has a big population, which I guess we're about to find out if we have a little read. But also, but I know there's a fair bit of farmland in there too. So I don't know how the population is sort of spread, like whether they're very, very city heavy. I know Bangkok is a massive city. All right. Thailand, historically known as Siam, and officially the Kingdom of Thailand. It's a country in Southeast Asia, located at the center of the Indochinese Peninsula. Now that is an interesting trivia question. What is the name of that peninsula? See, I said Indochinese. I went too hard on that C there. I realized that it's Indo-Chinese for Indonesia and China, not Indochinese. Woo! reading too many Myanmar names as my pronunciations horrifically. You try and go too wild and you just miss the clear, obvious, actual words that you can make up in there. West is the Andaman Sea. No, west. Yep, west. Should be down here, I guess, for Thailand, where it touches the sea. And the Gulf of Thailand is that little guy in there. Does not attach to Vietnam, but it shares a maritime border with Vietnam, which I guess would be what that sort of section in there. It has a population of 70 million as of 2022. See what the population of Bangkok is as well. Population. It's 15% of the population, so a population of 10.5 million. So there you go. So definitely heaps of other people to be spread through the rest of the country there. Because I realize that with, say, what I'm looking at here, in Myanmar you wouldn't spell these words this way. You would spell them with the language of Myanmar, which is in English. And so this is someone's attempt to spell those words with English letters. But whoever it was, or whatever motives that they use for the different letters, can completely, like, become obsolete or outdated. Some of this is some wild stuff that it's like you using laws that you normally wouldn't put into into the way that you would read a English word, I would think. However, the English language is one of the most nonsense languages for rules anyway, that I suppose you're allowed to do whatever you want with it. It is language after all, and that's by an argument. I once said the wrong word. I can't remember what I was conveying to my wife, and she pointed out that I misspelt it, and I just responded. I said, "Language is an ever-evolving thing. You knew what I meant. I'll accept it." I'm not coming back on that. All right, let's accept the charity because we want to get our big bonus from our billionaire. All right, let's bring in our next one. We'll go Laos. A different picture than what we normally get for the billionaire, isn't it? I thought our billionaire was normally the dude coming off the plane. It does feel like I do want to open up Russia. But it does feel like my game is going to be done for at the point that that Russia starts to open. Like, it can't handle the amount of planes as is, and when we see Russia come into the mix, it is going to be hectic. It's possibly my motive for leaving Russia to potentially the very end, or I'd say it'll be these two guys and then Japan. I mean, we're already basically, with the exception of Japan, and even then I think Japan will probably just connect to Korea's as it goes along, that we can probably already bring in Russia. I think my intention will be try try and get 3 today, and then we'll go maybe Cambodia and Japan next time. Because I do still have tasks to do. Like, there's no point in bringing in another huge country with a whole bunch of airports when I'm not even going to get to it. Like, I'm still working my way through. Actually, where am I ending up here? That's probably a good question, because I need to go through China, and I'm sort of getting myself to a stuck point down the bottom here. And unless the Philippines is going to give me a lot of... Actually, is that the route that I'm going to have to take here? That I need to sort of come down through Myanmar, back into Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam, and then into China, then sort of work back down through the Philippines and get out into Indonesia. Maybe. What we'll do, I would say, is that let's connect the Myanmar cities to each other. While we're doing that, let's have a look at Laos. So Laos, officially the Lao People's Democratic Republic, is a socialist state and the only landlocked country in Southeast Asia. Certainly see. Capital and largest city is Vientiane. Apologies for my destruction of that pronunciation. Population 7.7 million. Not a big one by its neighbors' standards. Alright, let's get these guys all upgraded. So we've got now Bangkok as the end of the line, which probably have a fair bit of traffic. Since these guys are red, I can assume that overlooked them. Of any of these ones that you can see that'll flash like Christmas lights, so it's a good indication that I've missed them getting upgrades. Alright, so then what we'll do is, instead of continuing just on the line, we're going to just start to connect cities up here. So when we look at, say, this outer edge of Mongolia, we can get a sense of where we want this all to be connected. Now, hopefully these actually shouldn't be as bad as in locking down our, like, the game as it thinks about what's happening, because we're not actually, like, people who are sitting in South America that want to go to Beijing, they're not going to suddenly be able to get to Beijing if I don't have the route connected to the end of the line. So hopefully that means that these guys will actually just sort of, like, the algorithms aren't having to sort of factor as much. Although potentially the whole thing just sort of goes like, oh, okay, Dundas has now got a connection. Can I connect to Dundas? And every single city asks that question. These cities, by the way, have to be tiny. Have to be tiny. Let's go for so Mongolia population 30,000. I mean, I would expect that probably all these places do have some sort of airport, though, because they're so spread across Mongolia that again, they're a country that's only just come into wealth. So I do recall leaving when we left Ulaanbaatar and we went sort of this way to the Tej National Park, was which is like one of the big tourist attractions that you would go to Mongolia to see. And it had some, like, pretty ordinary roads there. So I would imagine that you, if you go way out this way, I would be surprised if you've got paved roads out in the west of Mongolia. The neat thing though was that when you're in Mongolia, you'll see like two roads go on, paved roads, sort of like your highways, major roads. So when I'm talking highway, meaning like a 2-lane road, it's just nice and straight. But you'll see that there's just suddenly a dirt road that goes off it, and it's the way that the drivers will just get from one highway to another, is you just pull off and you basically make your own road to get there. But enough people have done it that there actually is now like a clear sort of dirt path. But then enough people have done it that there's major potholes in there, so then you've got to drive around that. And yeah, definitely, I don't think I'd want to drive myself in Mongolia at all. Beautiful country, though. Wholeheartedly recommend it as a place to visit, because it's not overly it doesn't I guess doesn't have a sense of its worth touristy wise, and obviously there's not that many tourists that go there that they're not attempting to sort of like just pitch to tourists. So for that reason, it's a very nice part of the world to visit, apart from just being insanely gorgeous. All right. So Chinggis here is the way that they spell Genghis. If you're talking about Genghis Khan in Mongolia, it's actually written Chinggis. So their airport is named Chinggis Khan Airport. Okay, so if we're looking now, we can see these cities on the right edge here starting to come in. But we're not going to go from Mongolia, I assume, to them. Although that guy's pretty out in the middle of nowhere. He would have to go from sort of there to North Korea. But I mean, that's also quite long. But this will also be long. So am I better off just getting these guys to connect to the outer edge of China, or getting them to go straight into the middle? I think I'm possibly better off going to the outer edge. So with 10 minutes left or so, let's bring in Vietnam as well. No, let's decide that's not what I'm doing. I'm going to cross that way. We could probably finally give this guy a... I would be so excited if this game eventually had a mechanic that just worked out itself how to have aeroplanes sort of like correctly space themselves on a route. Like, I realize that, so these planes go on at different speeds, but if you could have the same planes going at different speeds, same planes, but then they're actually going to just actively keep themselves correctly spaced. I don't know about this. Does this make sense? Sort of an in. Just jump down there. I think that actually makes sense, because you just go... You get rid of that route. Alright, so... Vietnam, or officially the Socialist Republic of Vietnam. It's a country in Southeast Asia, eastern edge of mainland Southeast Asia. Was that the good? Population of 96 million, making it the world's 15th most populous country. Alright, that's Mongolia at least sort of taken care of. Which has so many cities. That's definitely one where we're just getting stuff to fill the space. But again, like, there's cities over here, right? People live in West China that surely in larger bunches than what they do in Mongolia. Like, what's the population of Ural? Is it an L or an I? Uruguay. I imagine there's like the Silk Road would run somewhere out that way, right? Population. Give me a population. Population 4 million. So that has like a bigger population than I would assume Mongolia from this half on. Surely there's more people out that way. Surely. Alright, so let's jump down. And then we'll swing up. I suppose at least this way that all of the Koreas and China can sort of do all their internal travel. You get some people moved around with, but as soon as then this whole network gets connected, they'll just start to push a huge amount of people through. Okay, so at this point, I guess we go down. We need those. Do we need these two to connect? Are they going to run over Seoul? Are we going to have to... Oh, does that count? If Seoul wasn't the capital, that wouldn't be a problem, because that outer circle wouldn't be there. I don't know anything about this island. Where we got wiki, Hindu, Jeju-do. Jeju Island. South Korea's largest island, covering an area of 1,800 square kilometers, which is 1.8% of the total country. Well, if 1,800 kilometers is the total, is 1.8% of the total country, then that would suggest that the Total size of South Korea is 100,000 square kilometers. It's a pretty easy one to math out. Is also the most populous island in South Korea. At the end of September 2020, the total resident registration population of Jeju Special Self-Governing Province is 672,000, of which 4,000 resided on outlying islands such as Chuja Island and Udo Island. Total area of the Jeju Special Self-Governing Province is 1,849 square kilometers. So those other islands must be quite small, because the largest island is 1,833.2. We go all the way into detail that you don't otherwise need. And the other islands only make up another 16 square kilometers of that. So I can understand why there might not be airports on them. Udo Island is located northeast of Cheongsangri, 3.5 kilometers off the coast of Jeju Island. It's the largest of the islands included in Jeju City. Udo, literally Cow Island, has the name because it looks like a cow lying down. Let's get it out. I want to see a picture now. The whole of Udo is a lava plateau and fertile flatland where major agricultural products such as sweet potatoes, garlic, and peanuts are produced. Population 1,700. What was our other island? Chuja Island. As of December 2019, the population was 1,733. Well, it's slightly less. Oh yeah, the struggle's real now. Busan I've only heard of because of the train to Busan. I didn't even watch. My wife watched it. Definitely would like to visit South Korea one day. Wouldn't say it's super high on my list. It's neighbor over here on the other hand. Zibo. Alright, so how are we looking? So we've got a little bit of Vietnam. I would imagine that these guys have a fair bit more to come in. I'm still amazed that that's all we're going to see of China. I mean, even if you look at somewhere like, I don't know, Nigeria, it's like it paints a much bigger picture. India as well, like, surely these maps can be absolutely filled. I mean, potentially as well, they've sort of said, oh, let's limit them to a point where we're not going to have the game unplayable. Which is already, like, debatable here, I suppose. But that's our new inclusions there. So, Thailand, Laos, and Vietnam are in the fray. And next time, I'd say Cambodia and Japan. Maybe Malaysia down the bottom there too. Any questions or comments, feel free to chuck them below. And until next time, catch you later.